Yeah. Do 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 do. Do a little show tune. Yeah, it'd be perfect for my music. Absolutely. That's a transceiver receiver. Hello. Sure. Do whatever you need to. So press this button, and then you're unmuted. Yeah. Hello. 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 To dream the impossible. Hello. Aha. Ta-da. I was gonna go on stage and be like, ooh, ah.
Test one, two, test, test. Test one. It's really loud. Should be good now. You can turn it up a little bit or down, just whatever you guys need. I just didn't think it was on.
reason why I wanted to do a home birth was because
Testing one, two. Testing one, two. Testing. Alrighty, I made a switch. So you guys can look. Yes.
I guess they like that. Okay. 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 So during your intro, back here, what's the age? So no intermission. Going straight to it. Going right. Get it done over with. No, because I feel like yeah. Okay, so then um so and then same thing over and over again. But oh and yeah. From now on, go that way. Don't give up. I'm just thinking like mic check. Yeah. So we'll run it. We'll run it again. Please. Here. She. Yeah. She will make it much. Then we'll do the same again for slowly. Slowly. Did you hear that? You know how to do that? Look perfect. So then I want you. Do you want? Okay. So then we'll. Sam, which mic do you want? You want the left? All right. So that would be. So it should be Mitchell. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Go ahead. you want to hold the mic, I'm gonna put this right here.
We all ready for some TED Talks? All right. Glad all of you could make it. Glad to see some faces that I don't know the names of. That's exciting. I am so grateful for everybody here. Want to give a quick shout out to the team. Everything looks wonderful. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started with an opening prayer by Yuki, and then we will have our music video to introduce our wonderful TED Talkers today.
Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. We thank you that we will come here and listen to our TED Talks today with all the speakers, and we could learn some things from them. And we pray this in Jesus Christ, amen. What you gonna do? It's your reflection looking back to pull you down. So are you gonna die today to make it out? Gonna do now?
Sorry about that. We love school internet. It's top tier. All right, while we're waiting for that video, that is totally awesome. Who in here is not in our class? I want to see. Hello. Could you tell me your name? Austin Anderson?
What you gonna do?
Well, it's nice to meet you. Who are you here to see besides everyone? You're here for Julia. How do you know Julia? Oh, you got family. That's impressive. I do not have that in stock at Rexburg. And then who else do we have there with the laptop? Very fancy. Who are you? Hello. Thank you so much for helping with our tech. Right, you have it ready, Wagner? Awesome. We're going to trust YouTube. Let's go.
Let you know it's your reflection looking back to pull you down. So are you gonna die today? Make it out alive. Take on the monster in your head. Take you off fly feelings back. Suffering with empire. Don't bury your feelings. Set on the ceiling. Feeling gets loud. So are you gonna die today? Make it out alive. Take on the monster in your head. Take you off fly feelings back. Suffering with empire. Don't bury your feelings.
I absolutely love that video, and I'm glad I was not involved in that because I can't shoot a gun to save my life. All right, so we're going to go ahead and get started with our first speaker here. On a warm night at August of 1998, a slightly inappropriate but productive child was born, amazing his teachers with a total lack of engagement. He spent his time looking at magical charts to dictate fluctuations in soybean futures with his fellow degenerates who have taken GameStop to the moon. He spends what's left of his busy schedule at your mom's house. Now I welcome this wondering Mitchell Murphy.
All right. Well, first and foremost, let's give a round of applause to people that put this on. I'm super thankful for them. Right? Awesome. Sweet. So today, the title of my TED Talk is called The Responsibility of Men. You know, the modern culture in which surrounds us right now is starting to realize and have the conversations about men's place in society currently. There's been vast amounts of social and cultural changes that have left men in a kind of a weird spot of wondering where they're at and where they fit in. Even last TED Talk, Julia gave the statistic that 81% of all suicides are men. So right now, let's take a look at some of history's most famous men, and let's see some statistics about their life. I don't know if you know this mustache or not, but this is Adolf Hitler, right? He's famous for the killing of 6 million Jews, homosexuals, and gypsies. And then also was the key starter of World War II, which killed an additional 35 60 million people. All right, here we go. This is Ted Bundy. He's infamous for being a serial rapist killer. And he has been confessed and convicted to 28 separate accounts of doing said thing, the youngest of which being a 12-year-old. This is Saddam Hussein. He killed over 150,000 of his own people that he's supposed to have stewardship. And in turn, started many wars, killing even more lives, many of which using chemical warfare, as well as really gruesome different ways to kill even his own people, but definitely the enemy. The worst of which is he's not from Alabama, but he still married his cousin and had 5 kids with her. Yeah, that's what a man, you know what I'm saying? You know, throughout history, there has been a lot of dark spots when it comes to masculinity. There's been a lot of things that have caused for this to happen. One of them is, and all 3 of these men have this in common, is the neglect and physical abuse and utter abandonment from their fathers. Fathers are the first masculine relationships that we as men and girls experience in this lifetime, such as, say, boys and girls to their mother. And so with that, throughout time, we have found a distinct link that the more often that father is either abusing or doing things to the individual that ultimately affect them, you see more people such as. But let's look at like parenting between men and women. There's a little bit of a difference, right? Would have thought. Right? Men and women parent differently. And so, kind of going along the same lines that we were just talking about, when parenting, that is the key is stopping a lot of the things that, a lot of the bad men out there and socialize and identify what's going on. Let's talk about the way women parent real quick. Ladies, you guys have an emotionally deeper connection with each other, as well as the people around you. You also tend to reward a little bit more often, you know, giving a little bit more, stopping by McDonald's a few more times than the next person, or giving out a little bit more cookies and attention for doing even the smallest thing. They also discipline much more than men, but have way looser consequences than men, which is good and it has its place. Now let's look at the way men parent. Oh, that's not a safe. Right? That's it. So men, when they parent, they use roughhousing as the main source of play, right? Which is distinctly different than the safety first metrics of women. Men definitely generally provide more physical provisions, such as financial security, physical protection, and when they start getting older, start allowing them, especially the men, to access their network of people. They also have a more intense, stricter discipline than women. So a good example of this is, let's say I get grounded by my mom for 2 weeks. I can usually get off from that by about 3 days. And generally when father is disciplined, it usually turns into you're going to serve that time or you're going to get in even more trouble. And they're followed, therefore, after. So it comes back to the old adage of teach a man to fish, or give a man a fish, he eats for a day, and teach a man to fish, he eats for life. Because the general emotional connection that women have with their kids and other people, they give out a lot of fish. But men generally are more on the workings of teaching them how to fish. Now, kind of going along those same lines, A good example of this is kind of throughout time, men generally will hold each other to a little bit of a greater standard when reacting to each other in masculine groups. So I don't know if you've ever been on a construction site. I have, and there's something that I call the course correction teardown. So not only with fathers, but when it relates into all masculine relationships, friendships, and co-workers, everything, men in between men, you can generally see that they're a little bit more with each other, right? So the way that it kind of goes is men will generally, in groups of people, roast and discipline until they rise to the level of expectation. So, like, if we're looking at this, right, and a man starts falling below what's expected of him, whether it's his treatment of women, his financial situation, social status, or anywhere else, if they start falling below, especially in the hardworking industries, like a lot of things like that, they will get roasted until they rise back up to the standard. And that standard, which is the social standard, is usually dictated actually by women. There's an old adage there it goes, women are the architects of society. They set standards and what needs to happen by selecting who they mate with. But in turn, men will build that thing boundaries. So the failure to have this happen, let's say I fall below the bar and I can't do what I need to. That's where you see the lower status males that generally can't find a mate as easy as higher status, and then in turn get rejected by their social, and that's when mental health increases. So we can kind of see that nowadays with the suicide statistics and things like that, of men not knowing where the social standard is, but men still tearing each other down to try to reach whatever attainment that is. So, with that, what does this mean for us? What does that mean for everyone here? What does it mean? So for the ladies, let your man go out. Yes. So generally speaking, there's the idea of the nagging wife, right? I want you to be this. Come on, be that, be that, be that, be that. But that doesn't work. It's not going to work. Nagging and nagging and nagging. What's roasting the crap out of them. But better yet, if you had your man, or your brothers, or your father, or whatever, go out and be in social circle with other men, they will rise them up to the correct standard. Or your man will be rising. I'll have the other men rising. And man, this is what you need to do about this. When you get roasted, or you get disciplined, or you get called out, have that be a calling to come to a higher purpose in life. To reach what you don't think is possible, but the people around you do. Become responsible to help men who struggle by raising the bar in turn for them. And when this happens, something amazing happens. Men become creators of art and storytelling. They will become storytellers and distinct adages that will add value to other people's lives. They'll become artists and musicians that in turn will inspire the generation to come. They'll be peacemakers that intuitively have people ask them to become settled down and fathers, raising up the next generation. Travelers, reaching places that some of us have never even gone the distance of. Caring. ask you, allow yourself to be corrected by getting torn down. Allow yourself freedom of going out with the boys, or allow your man to go out with the boys. And ultimately, evil men that we saw at the beginning, as we do this, become increase, we fight back. It's not right. It's not.
Okay, this mic hates me. It's fine. I've never been good with microphones. I always prefer to just yell. That's possibly a family trait, but I haven't done the DNA test to prove it. Before we get to our next speaker, I noticed there's one more member in the family that I did not get a chance to pick on. Actually, there's two. Lady in the laptop who looks very official. You're not here to actually critique us, are you? Because I think we already have someone doing that in the back. Oh yeah, you're good. Who's sitting right here in the lovely black shirt right there? Yes. Hi. Who are you connected to? You're in a class? Oh my gosh, you look so different in your shirt. You look so pretty. I thought you were like somebody else. Yes, you look amazing. I totally thought you were like somebody like already like a model or something. You totally are amazing. I love you so much. That is awesome. All right. Well, before I embarrass myself even further because I can't see for anything, we're going to get to our next speaker. Julia Moore is from Southern California. She's a communications major with an emphasis in video production. Julia and her husband enjoy playing board games and spending time at the park. So let's give a big round of applause to Julia Moore.
She was a PR nurse at the time. Very familiar. Knew she wanted but as soon as she got to the hospital, she just started photos. She was reduced with Pitocin, which is a synthetic hormone. Mother was broken. Two monitors strapped up to her. The doctor was not right. After 18 hours of being in labor, the doctor came in and said, well, you can continue like this, or we can, because they got an hour, it was C-section. So she looked at both her mom and her mother-in-law who had had C-sections. They were like, I wouldn't. So she went through it right. And she felt everything. She felt all that pain. It's the most excruciating pain she'd ever felt. She was begging for general anesthesia as soon as her day was out. Reflecting on that experience, she felt that her baby was ripped from her, and that transition from maiden to mother was taken from her. She felt that that wasn't how that experience. Later became a midwife so that she could help women not have to experience what she did. I want to tell you that a hospital birth isn't an option. Now, I live in a very family-oriented community and we value family.
It's important. Someday I want to become a mother. And so to better that time, I've done a lot of research and studying so that when I do have a baby, I'm pregnant and preparing for that time, I want to be fully informed about the choices that I'm making. There was a time time and place for a hospital, but birth is a natural, normal process, much like breathing. Our body just knows what to do. Our bodies were built for it. And most of the time, intervention isn't needed. For low-risk pregnancies. Some of these look like early inductions, moms getting hooked up to IV fluids, contraction monitors, blood samples, cervical exams, and epidurals. From the March of Dimes Perinatal Data Center, they said in the United States in 2021, 32% of live births were C-sections. 50 years ago, 1 out of 50 births were C-section. Today, that's 1 out of 3, which is a huge jump. There are many connections between interventions and the rising number of C-sections. Erin Wilkins, a trained RN, she shared her experience working in a hospital. It's great when intervention happens and when we have trained nurses and OBGYNs who are trained in surgeries and in complicated situations, but those are so rare. She shares that that's the exception and not the norm. Erin shares, birth is just one of those processes that generally feels better when you leave it untouched. You know, there are many women who get induced early and they have an epidural and their body handles it just fine. But again, that, in Erin's perspective, that is the exception and not the norm. When giving birth in a hospital, there are many procedures and strict regimens around the whole birthing process that may be necessary for a hospital, but not necessary for a low-risk pregnancy. And one of those interventions and one of those procedures and limitations look like birthing positions. One of the most common practices for a woman in labor is to give birth laying on your back so that the doctor can better see what's going on and the doctor's in control. But the doctor is in control and not the woman giving birth. Giving birth on your back is one of the worst positions for a mother to give birth in, as opposed to giving birth in an upright position. Evidence-based birth shares that giving birth in an upright position shortens labor, it lowers the risk of cesarean sections, C-sections, it increases blood flow, it's less painful, and the baby can be in a better position to pass through the pelvis. You're essentially letting gravity do its thing. Now, we've all heard of moms being in labor for 18 hours, or 48 hours. Labor can be long, and the baby is ready to come when it's ready. But the hospital is not a waiting room. And this unnecessary, or these long labors can lead to unnecessary intervention that a woman might not be comfortable with. They often say to expectant mothers to wait as long as possible before you go into the hospital, so you're not in there for over 12 hours or multiple days. I know I would be still worried about when I should come in. Is now the time? Should I come to the hospital now? This can increase the discomfort and the stress to the expectant mother. My intention today is not to share with you that hospitals are bad or that doctors are scary. My intention today is to share an alternative approach. At the beginning of my speech, I shared the story with Lindsay, and she had a traumatic first birth experience. For her second birth, she did a lot of research and came to the conclusion that she wanted to have a home birth. She wanted to be in charge of her birthing experience and have it be flexible. So she gave birth in her hot tub under the stars on a warm summer's night. And it's exactly what she had dreamt and hoped for. I believe that we should be encouraging women to be active participants in their birthing experience. There are so many benefits of a home birth for low-risk pregnancies. My sister-in-law has had 4 home births. And when I've asked her, what was your reasoning in getting home births? She said that she wanted to be in the comfort of her own home. She wanted to have her own bed and her own shower. It was flexible. She wanted to have more of a say in her birthing process. Labor is a natural and normal process, like I had mentioned at the beginning, and every woman's experience is different. Some labors are really long, and that's okay. At home, we can take that time all the time maybe, and that could provide a less stressful and more peaceful birthing experience. Home births can be less intervention focused and more natural. Some evidence-based strategies for reducing pain and enhancing coping in the labor include movement, massage, meditation, and hydrotherapy, getting in the water. And at home, you can do these with ease. Actually, Trega, a behavior psychologist and doula, which is a trained childbirth professional, shared pregnancy is miraculous. Women's bodies grow and change, and they can eat all the ice cream they want with no shame. It's downright amazing that a woman's body knows how to grow a baby. But somehow, when it comes to giving birth to that baby, our society no longer trusts women. Instead, we insist that an expert take control and deliver that baby. I want to share with you some experiences of women taking control of their birth experience and sharing their views on why they chose to get a home birth.
That was probably the biggest reason why I wanted to do a home birth, was because I wanted to have my own bed and have my own shower and my own food after delivery.
It was so sweet, and I just loved that moment and not having to be crushed, not having to be told what to do. My midwife was just there. She just let us hold her.
And being in the presence of your home, if you have that ability and desire, the whole process felt so sweet. Tori was just in the comfort of a freshly made bed with her sweet new baby and with family around, and it felt very redemptive and very sweet.
As at home, I was progressing at the pace that my body was progressing, and there was no one telling me I needed to go quicker or slower or faster.
I gave birth in my tub, and then from there I just walked over to our bed, and it was the best feeling after giving birth to just be able to fall asleep in my own bed and to be in the comfort of our own home.
These perspectives of accomplishment and empowerment rather than pain and suffering. A few months ago, my sister and I were watching a documentary titled Why Not Home? And it was about why nurses and doctors choose to get home births. My sister's roommate walked in and she was like, I would never get a home birth. Then she proceeded to be in the room right next to us making lunch and kind of listening. About 20 minutes goes by and she goes, you know, maybe not my first birth, but my second or third, I'd consider a home birth. She completely changed her mind. Her perspective was changed just from learning a little bit more about home births. I want to bring awareness to home births, and I want to help you see another option. I've created this webpage with helpful resources and eye-opening sites and podcasts, so definitely scan it and learn more about home births. Bring it up with those who are currently pregnant and ask them, have you ever considered a home birth? This way, they can learn more about home birth instead of just going to the hospital, because that's what everyone else does. Home birth is not for everyone, but it should be considered when a mom is making a decision about where she wants to have birth. What do you want your birthing experience to look like? Pick the environment that will give you the best shot at having that experience, and ask yourself, why not home? Thank you.
All right, that was a really and a lot of things that are just kind of unconventional, and I really enjoyed that. And I enjoyed that our fellow students had spring today. And I'm so very grateful for that. And I want to let you guys know we are halfway there, and that is both a blessing and a curse in my opinion. I love it when we've had so much to do and we have more to do, but I'm also sad because that means we're almost towards the end. But let's go ahead and welcome our next speaker. Okay, apparently something happened with the microphones back there. They hate us right now. We don't know why. We brought cake and everything. I guess they're just jealous that they don't get any, but we'll get some later. I promise. You guys can have as much cake as you want. But the microphones, unfortunately, do not get any. For that, I recognize someone. She's not in our class, but I feel like I know you from somewhere. What is your name again before I introduce myself? Brianna. Hi, yes, I love you so much. I missed you. Oh, we had a class together, didn't we? I feel like we did. Yeah, we're in the same store. You miss Nampa. Yeah, I miss it a little too. I miss not having a rainstorm every other day. We were filming last night, and we were in a church building, and it was echoing everywhere. But yeah, that was crazy. And so we just had to sit there for like an hour and wait for the rain to go away. I'm super excited for the next speaker. Okay, so she is ready to go. You guys ready for her? California. She's majoring in public relations and minoring in marriage and family. So she probably enjoyed this very last speech. She works at BYU Idaho as the Weekly Activities Program Director, and she enjoys painting, murals, kayaking, and spontaneous trips. So let's hear it up for Chloe.
That is not me, obviously. I'm supposed to be standing over here. But why are you saying that? Why are you yelling at me? You're a presentation. There's nothing for you to yell about here. And come back over? Okay, sure. I'll give my presentation, I'll do that. Probably a good idea. These are different reactions of fear. And fear is ingrained in all of us. It connects humanity, and it makes us all relate to each other. And depending on situations and the way that your brain releases chemicals, is the way that you react to fearful situations, things that are scary. Something I found on the internet from mind.org.uk is it's a website that clarifies the thoughts and the abilities of the brain. It's some examples of where fear roots from. Some of these things are past incidents or trauma, learned responses from young age, genetic factors, or long-term stress. And it's important to remember these things as a storyteller, because as you tell a story, you're giving people an idea of what life is like in a different reality. Fear is what makes stories interesting and it captivates your audience, but it's not the kind of fear you think of. You may have heard of the fight or flight response, but there's two more, which is freeze and fawn, that aren't heard of as often as fight or flight. Amy Marshall, an autistic clinical psychologist, reviews these four types of fear. In fight, she says anger is disguised as fear. And for flight, she says it's something to try to escape from fear. And freeze is still and quiet until the danger passes. And fawn is something to try to please the person who is inflicting that fear upon you. These are the four, just as a reminder. So we have fight, flight, freeze, and fawn. So we're going to first talk about fight. Now for this, I'll share a little bit of a story that I have told before in this class. It's that bridge jumping experience I had. When I was a new student here, I didn't have any friends, and I was looking for friends because what else was I going to do on a college campus with no one I knew? So my roommate comes in and she says, "We're going to go bridge jumping." So fast forward 2 days later, I'm in the back of a truck with 6 strangers that I've never met before, going to a place I've never been to before. And I was afraid, but nothing was kicking in quite yet. You would think that my fight response would kick in at this point because I'm with a bunch of strangers in an unknown place. It wasn't until I was on the edge of a bridge looking down. I was like, okay, it's kind of scary. Maybe I need to do something. But then I started falling. I was falling and I was like, oh shoot, I can't do anything about this now until I hit that water. And you hear a splash. And then my body goes into shock. And then that's when I realized I have a decision to make. Either drown or survive. And if you couldn't tell, I chose to survive in this instance. So I swam to that edge and I survived because my fight response kicked in for once. And I was like, okay, That's why we have this feeling of fear, to get through life and survive. Now, how did that story make you feel? Did it inflict some kind of fear in you? Did you think I was stupid for getting in a truck of 6 strangers? Probably. But at that point, I didn't think I was stupid. Did it cause some anxiety or fear in you? And how does this picture make you feel? I can see that a lot of you probably, this is just uncomfortable. No one wants to be standing on that, but that's kind of what it felt like when I was looking 10 feet below into rushing water underneath. Now, it's important to know the plot of your story and how it invokes certain types of fear and emotion, because you want that right kind of fear to hit your audience. Because if you are teaching about freeze and everyone wants to run away, that's probably not the right thing you're going for. Our next topic is flight. Now, I want you to think of some reactions in this video that you see.
Where did everybody go? Coral, get inside the house, Coral. No, Coral, don't. They'll be fine. Just get inside, you, right now.
Now in this video, you see Marlin and Coral, 2 clownfish fighting a barracuda to protect their children. And in this, the storyteller has control over the outcome of the story. And in this, it's different types of fear and their reactions. Coral fled to her eggs to try to protect them. Marlin fought the barracuda and tried to escape the barracuda and protect his wife. But the outcome of the story isn't the most happy, as most of you know. And because of this, you have to think about the different reactions that could have happened. Marlin could have fled. Marlin could have sat there and froze and stared and just saw the barracuda attack. But instead he fought. Coral could have fought, but she didn't, because what she did was that she was going to protect her children, which was the flight response, because all she knew how to do was to protect. She didn't know how to fight. Our next one is freeze. Freeze is also known as the fear that you become. So for this, I'll tell another story in my life. When I was 6 years old, I grew up on the coast of California, and we were always by the beach. So this one summer, me and my siblings were out boogie boarding. And for those of you who don't know what boogie boarding is, it's kind of like wimpy surfing, except with this a styrofoam board and you lay on your stomach and you kind of go like this. And that's all you do. You never stand up because we're not that skilled. You're children. So me and my siblings are boogie boarding, and we're coming into the shore, and we're probably on this wave that's way bigger than we are, way too big. We're probably going to die at this point, but we're like, it's fine. We're from California. We know what we're doing. But a parent on the sideline sees something way different than we do. They sit there and they watch 3 children come in from the coast to the shore, and one of them disappears. And they wait. And they sit there and they just hold their breath for a minute. And that child's not resurfacing. And you just kind of sit there and you're watching. And they're like, should I get help? Should I go do something about this? I don't know what to do. And then they see the child resurface again. And everything's fine. Now, from that perspective is the freeze response. It's often like watching a movie, and your favorite character is on screen, and they're fighting the bad guy, and they're like, wah! And you're like, okay, great. And then they take a punch to the face, and you're like, oh no, my favorite character, what are they going to do? But you can't do anything because you're the audience, and you're watching. And this is what the freeze response is like. You just sit there and watch, and you can't do anything else. So you become the audience at this point, watching a movie. Much like this parent in the story I told, they just watch, and they can't do anything about it. The fawn response is the people-pleasing response.
You sleepy? You want to sleep? Is that what you want? Huh? nice little area for you to, no, hey, that's my bed. You're gonna get your germs all over it. Hey, fine. My chair's more comfortable anyway. What?
I want to put this in my book.
It's just a closet. Will you go to sleep? Hey, that looks like Randall. Randall's your monster. You think he's gonna come through the closet and scare you? Oh boy, how do I explain this? It's empty. See? No monster in here. Well, now there is, but I'm not gonna scare you. I'm off duty. Okay. How about I sit here until you fall asleep?
So in this, we see the fawn response from solely a monster. You wouldn't think a monster's afraid of a child, but he's afraid of Boo screaming and crying and letting people know where they are because Boo's not supposed to be there. So what does he do? He people pleases. And how does he do this? He leaves a trail of Cheerios leading to bed to try to get Boo to calm down, to be quiet. But she chooses a different bed. She chooses his bed. And he goes with it because he's not going to let Boo scream and cry. And then she points to the closet because she's afraid of a monster in the closet. So he checks the closet. And then to secure that, he sits outside the closet to protect Boo. He's a people pleaser in this scenario. And one thing about fear in storytelling is knowing your audience. And the creators of this story knew their audience. They knew it was parents and children. Parents who could feel the emotion of this and understand from that viewpoint and see themselves on a TV screen knowing that they have felt that same kind of fear of their child screaming and crying when you don't want that. You don't want attention in a grocery store of your child throwing a tantrum on the floor. You want them to be calm and relaxed, much like Sully did in this. So, do you understand fear in storytelling? Do you understand that it's the subtle things in stories that captivate you, that keep you on your toes? It's not always in your face, like getting upset at presentations or running across the room, but it's things that captivate you, and things that are always in every story if you just pay attention to them. And anyone can tell a good story. All you have to do is stop being boring and embrace fear.
Thank you for that so much, Chloe. I love any excuse I get to watch a Pixar film. I have not got to do that of late. So I was really worried she was going to show us the rest of that Finding Nemo scene, and there's no tissues back there. So thankfully she didn't. All right, I have some bittersweet news. We are on to our last speaker of the day. I am super excited for the last speaker, and I'm super grateful for all the talks that we've had so far. And so we're going to go ahead and read you a little bit about Sam. Sam Thomas is a husband, a father of 3, and an all-around great guy. For the past 5 years, he's helped hundreds of content creators connect deeper with their audiences through live streaming and long-form content. He considers himself a forever student of content creation, and he comes to the stage today to share with us a greater understanding of the culture of content creation and its effects on not only us, but society and the world at large. And I am very excited for this talk today because that is something I feel like, especially in this class, it's something that we need to keep in mind and as we go throughout the rest of our world. So let's give it up for Sam Thomas.
I'm screaming at you.
Thank you, Ed. Can you hear me? Testing. Yeah, okay, sounds like it. Awesome. Well, everybody, welcome to the final talk of this TED presentation. It's been awesome to see the talks, and I have big shoes to fill. My talk today is about the content creator culture. Now, there's a lot to keep in mind with content creation, but first things first, what I want to talk about is who are your favorite content creators? Who do you find yourself endlessly scrolling through on TikTok or YouTube or Instagram, whatever? These are a few of my favorite. So you have Mr. Beast, MKBHD, Harris Heller, Mark Rober, Linus Tech Tips, and Peter McKinnon. I could spend days watching these people's content, and it's honestly inspiring to me. But why? Why do we subscribe to these people? Why do we, whenever they tell us to smash the like button and click subscribe, we are so inclined to listen to them? Well, for me, it's these reasons. Mr. Beast, he's got a passion for YouTube. MKBHD, Marquez Brownlee, his style is so clean and so elegant. Harris Heller, his strategy for live streaming and social media growth was honestly the thing that spearheaded me into content creation in the beginning. Mark Rober, we all know Mark Rober, setting world records with elephant toothpaste. Education, he always finds a way to turn something fun into something educational and something educational into something fun. Linus Tech Tips has managed to grow from a small tech shack with NCIX Tech Tips all the way up to one of the, if not the largest tech reviewing and tech testing YouTubers in the planet. And Peter McKinnon, world-renowned photographer, his cinematography and his photography is something that we could all aspire to. Now, they all have different reasons that I like them. I mean, you have different content creators and different reasons that you like them. So what do they all have in common? What is it that all of these people do that attracts us to them? Well, they all have something called influence. And I'm sure you guys have heard of influencer marketing and the influencer economy, but what is influence, right? Influence is the capacity to have an effect on the character, development, or behavior of someone or something, or the effect itself. Now, we'll talk a little bit more about this in just a second, but I want you guys to just keep this definition in mind. Now, how do content creators build influence, right? How do they build this superpower over us? Well, first things first is they are relevant, right? They talk about timely things in our lives. When you are stranded in the middle of the highway and your engine's overheating, what do? You go to YouTube and you look up a tutorial on how to cool your engine down. That's relevant to your situation. They show competence, right? If I came up here and I started, content creation, it's really cool, and I think everybody should, be into it. Like, that doesn't show much competence. It doesn't show a lot of confidence. You guys are masters of their crafts. They're relatable because despite the fact of being masters of their crafts and of their topics, they're also normal human beings. Anybody can upload a YouTube video. Anybody can go viral nowadays. And that's something that traditional celebrities and movie stars will never, well, not never, it's harder for them to accomplish. They're also passionate. These people try to spend as many hours talking about a single subject as these people have. You cannot help but be passionate if you're going to be a successful YouTuber. And with all of that, they build trust with us. They become monoliths of our confidence, right? We subscribe to their ideas. We trust them unwaveringly. So how do content creators use their influence? This is a good question. How do they use it? Well, I'm sure you guys have watched a YouTube video or a TikTok or something and have seen one of these brands. Raise your hand if you've ever seen an ad for one of these. Everybody raised their hand. That's exactly what I was hoping for, right? Everybody's seen an ad. We'd like to thank today's sponsor, NordVPN. We'd like to thank the sponsor of this video, Raycon earbuds. You know, we've all heard this line. So, and it's not just limited to brands like this. You call them smaller brands, right? Who are leveraging this influencer marketing. How many of us have seen Pete Davidson trying to sell us a Crunchwrap? Most of us have. Okay, perfect. Every time I see this ad, you want to know what I want to do? I want to go get a Crunch Wrap. I don't even like Pete Davidson, but I do like a good Crunch Wrap. And they make this, they use their influence to promote these products and to encourage us to make decisions, to influence our behavior. Brands understand the influence of these people, and they utilize that to sell us products. And I mean, how many of us have downloaded the Honey extension because Mr. Beast had a video that was sponsored by Honey? So we might be tempted to think that this is a recent phenomenon, maybe the last 10, 15 years. Influencer marketing's really taken off. The fact of the matter is that's not really the case. Influencer marketing actually started around 105 BC to about 404 AD, where gladiators were considered the celebrities of the time in Rome. They would make these giant, massive, I mean, this thing was, you have to understand, this thing was massive. Basically a billboard promoting a fight. And these gladiators would in turn promote things like oils and wines and other products of the time. More recently, we have Dunkin' Donuts is a great example of a brand that leverages influencer marketing really well. In 2020 and 2021, they did a collaboration with Charli D'Amelio, who's one of the largest TikTokers at the time. She had like 150 million followers on TikTok. Dunkin' Donuts put out 2 drinks. They're called the Charli and the Charli Cold Foam. I'm not going to pretend to know what a cold foam is. I don't drink coffee. I assume most people here don't either. But these are drinks that Dunkin' Donuts decided to sell in collaboration with Charli D'Amelio. Charli D'Amelio put out a challenge, a hashtag challenge, and you won a chance to have a Zoom call with Charli D'Amelio because it was at the height of COVID, right? As a result of this marketing campaign, 57% increase in Dunkin' app downloads, which broke its record for daily app users. There was a 20% increase in cold drink sales, as well as a 45% increase the following day. So truly, truly impressive marketing using an influencer and leveraging their audience. Another great example, I don't know where you guys all stand on your politics, but Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, back in 2020, she streamed Among Us with some prominent Twitch streamers and reached up to 400,000 young potential voters in a way that the old generation of politicians could only ever imagine. So we're seeing this influencer marketing take place, not just with brands, but also in politics. Now, not all influencer marketing is good. Some comes with rather turbulent consequences. How many of you have heard of the whole FTX fiasco that's going on? Most people. So FTX was one of the largest digital currency exchange platforms. So think crypto coins, Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dogecoin, Shiba Inu, all that stuff. So they utilized influencer marketing to reach people. Because of their collapse, because of all the criminal activity, 9 content creators are actually getting sued because they pushed unregistered securities on their viewers and followers. They're seeking $1 billion in damages just from the content creators. That doesn't include the more than $8 billion that was lost, according to the U.S. Commodities Future Trading Commission. Billions of dollars are being lost in this because Sam Bankman-Fried and his company leveraged the influence of these content creators, and now it's all blowing up. We might also be familiar with this, Crypto Zoo. It was a NFT project that was put out by one Mr. Logan Paul, where you would buy zoo tokens. You'd use these tokens to purchase eggs. These eggs would hatch, and after a while, you could merge these eggs together, and you could get these cute little monstrosities here, like an elephant panda or a dolphin elephant or a shark penguin. Now, this is Mr. Logan Paul here. Like I said, it was an NFT game where you could actually make money. You would hold on to these creatures, and you would eventually be able to sell them for actual money. The game, unfortunately, was never delivered. $7.7 million was stolen from investors. One investor alone invested $500,000 of their own money into this NFT project on the back that Logan Paul was a trustworthy person, that Logan Paul had redeemed himself from past drama and past fiascos that he'd had, in believing that Logan Paul was a reformed man. Now, Logan Paul has apologized. He's giving back a whopping $1.3 million back to current egg holders. So if you had purchased an egg and you sold your egg, you're out of luck. Sorry, bud. He can't control that, is what he said. However, the game is being finished. So there's some redemption, right? You have to understand, these influencers, these content creators, the product that they sell these brands is their influence. And so if they lose that influence, they're done. They have nothing else to give. So it's very important for these people to kind of save face. But it took basically a series of several videos from a content creator named CoffeeZilla, who did investigative journalism on this CryptoZoo scam to finally change his mind. So now, all things in content creation aren't bad. You have content creators who are very invested in charity. Creator Clash, for example, is a charity event where they gather a bunch of content creators together and they have a boxing match. They've raised $1.3 million in 2022. They raised $1.3 million for various different charities, including the Alzheimer's Association, American Heart Association, and the Healing Horse Therapy Center. They also, John and Hank Green. You might recognize John Green as the author of The Fault in Your Stars, and Hank Green as the guy on TikTok who answers all of the nerdy science questions. They raised $3.2 million for Project Awesome, that then in turn went and donated it to other various charities. Jacksepticeye, he's a Let's Play YouTuber. He records his gameplay footage, massive following. He raised $10 million for the World Central Kitchen to provide food to people all over the world around the holidays last year. And then probably most impressive last year, in 2022, Dr. Lupo raised a staggering $13 million for St. Jude's Cancer Research. These people, nothing's ever sunshine and butterflies all the way through. There's good parts and bad parts to everything. The question is how are these people using their influence? Now, more famously than even this, Mr. Beast and Mark Robert. I'm sure you guys have heard of the prestigious Team Trees and Team Seeds initiatives that they started. Team Trees was started on October 25th, 2019. They had a goal of 20 million trees planted. With over 24 million trees planted, Elon Musk actually donated $1 million to plant 1 million trees. It was featured in over 80,000 videos from over 4,200 content creators with over 556,000 posts across Instagram and Twitter. These people are using their influence to spread a message that will save our planet in a time where the climate crisis has become something that worries a lot of people. On top of that, a few years later, in October 29, 2021, they started Team Seas with a similar initiative to clean trash out of the ocean. They had a goal of 30 million pounds of trash removed from the ocean. They have 850 million views across 10,000 plus videos, and they've been able to service over 191 countries. Out of this time, they've raised over $33 million and have removed 33 million pounds of trash from our oceans. So, with that being said, the relevance, the competence, the influence that these people have developed and crafted with us, it's truly inspiring. And it's interesting to see how in this digital symphony of content creation, where creativity dances with vulnerability and authenticity harmonizes with aspiration, we can witness a rise of a new era where individual voices paint a collective canvas of inspiration, empowerment, and limitless possibilities. If you're watching the live stream, go ahead and click like and subscribe, and thank you all for coming out. Bye-bye.
Good. All right, thank you guys so much for coming today and sticking around for all of our wonderful speakers. Let's give them all another great hand for today. I know that I am very grateful for the wonderful talks that were given today and what I've learned in many different areas that I'm sure will be used in my life. And I want to thank everyone who came and watched today, both in person and on the live stream. Thank you all so much for coming. And for those that are here in the building, we have fruit and cake for you and some water as well. And we hope you have a great rest of your day.